what would the world look like if we can get all of these cameras and can have access to all of these? Many people were laughing at us. They were like, this is sci-fi. What are you talking about? We want to
Yes.
build the largest camera infrastructure in the world without owning a single camera, the same way that Uber has the largest taxi network in the world without owning a single taxi. The way to do this, we found
We are living in the future. We just don't realize it yet. The cities we saw in the sci-fi movies are not fictional anymore. In the first episode of Beyond the Blocks podcast, I spoke to Alizada from Natix. His team is turning everyday CCTV cameras into privacy protecting tools that makes our cities smarter, safer and better. This is real and it is already happening. So, hey all, thank you for joining. So, this is Beyond the Blocks podcast. So, today we have an interesting guest right here from Germany. So, coincidentally, we both are from Germany. We both are founders in Web3 space. And it is so good to speak to someone who keeps hustling like the way I do. And welcome, Ali Reza. Glad to have you here on the pod today.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for having me. It was long overdue, but happy to be here
Yes.
finally.
Yes. I mean, I've been closely watching Natix ever since you launched. I mean, if there are parallels between BitsCrunch and Natix, there are plenty, right? We both launched on CoinList. We both launched on similar exchanges. We both had similar market caps and exchange listings all across. And you closing a couple of big clients, Tesla, for instance, one, and a couple of others in the pipeline. And we did the same with MasterCard and others. So a lot of parallels to take away. And I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Same here. Yeah, I think people might not know, but when um, when we were in the process of fundraising and launching and so on, you actually helped us, which I'm very thankful. So you guys were already, I would say, a year or so ahead of us in terms of all of these processes. And I still say up to this day, a lot of advices that I got from you in our path was extremely helpful. When people ask me, startups, what kind of advisor we should get, I usually tell them, or people who to communicate with, right? To get advice on. I don't want to call it an advisor, maybe, but just people who will give you the advice. I say get a founder that is 1 year, half a year, 1.5 year ahead of you, right? He has done what you are about to go through because those findings are so valuable. So I had one of those moments with you, Vijay. And
Thanks a
yeah,
lot.
happy to talk about it now that we are post-launch and post-event
Yes.
of listing and public sales and these kind of things, which a lot
Yeah.
of crypto projects go through. It would be interesting conversations.
Yep. I mean, thanks a lot. Thanks for the appreciation. I mean, I had Ganesh Swami, who was the CEO of Covalent. They are exactly similar, like 1.5 to 2 years ahead of the journey. So I took a lot of support from him, which I pass it on to other founders like yourself, right? And one good thing about Natix and you are the way you guys accomplish things after other, right, one after the other. It's like there is no rest days. Right? And being from this German mindset, I can feel that. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's get into the questions. Maybe the first one. So imagine it is 2030. It is Natix everywhere. And what does a smart city look like for you?
Yeah. Um, so Natix everywhere. Let me just expand one or two sentences on what how I see
Yes.
Natix being everywhere. We want to
Yes.
build the largest camera infrastructure in the world without owning a single camera, the same way that Uber has the largest taxi network in the world without owning a single taxi. And the way to do this, we found there is this crypto incentivization that can work as a catalyst to do it. Helium did it. A bunch of other companies have started to
Mhm.
build physical infrastructure the same way. So we're doing the same thing, right? So 2030 would be 45 billion cameras, which is the total number of cameras in the world,
Good.
running on Natix or contributing data to Natix. That's kind of the
Mm.
vision. That's how I see it. But this is just let's say the technical reality.
Mhm.
From how the world would look like, I would say with this camera infrastructure, we can create a real-time digital twin of the world. What do I mean by
Mm.
that? You can fly in time, well, back in time, not forward, and in space, in the virtual sense, right? You want to go to New York, and you can go right now and drag yourself and drop there in a kind of a VR space from New York, more or less 5 minutes ago, right? And this is a
Mm.
combination of the data that was coming from New York as well as simulation,
Mhm.
right? So it's a
Mm.
combination of these two, but it's a very good representation of New York 5 minutes ago, right? So now imagine what kind of things we can do. I mean, I don't even know, because we didn't know what kind of things we can do with AI before it was formed, before the LLMs were formed, and now we're kind of digging more and more into it. But uh, I think it would open a lot of doors, right? It would enable us to experience world in a different way. It's a scary. It's a little bit of Zootopia, I call it, but that's how I think eventually. And let Natix be part of this or not, I see the world being there sooner or later.
Awesome. I mean, you have a very ambitious goal of having billions of devices out there, and would love to know what is the current number, maybe some traction points from Natix for the viewers.
Sure. So we have over 250,000 registered drivers, so
Yes.
smartphone cameras, because the first product that we shipped to the market was a
Hmm.
mobile application. You can just download the app, put the phone on the
Hmm.
dashboard of your car, and start
Okay.
driving around, collect on street data, we call it. So it's a street level data
Hmm.
collection, the first product.
Okay.
250,000 registered drivers as of now, which means
Yes.
250,000 registered sensors, and over 150 million kilometers of public roads covered.
Yes.
It's quite insane
Nice.
if you think about it. I
Oh.
think one of the largest data sets when you look around, it's 10. I think TomTom's data set, for example, in terms of street level imagery, is, if I'm not wrong, around 10 or 15 million
Oh.
miles, which
Mm.
is far lower than what we have
Yes.
achieved in 2 years. And these guys have a ton of money, much more than
Thanks.
Native has, and this is the power of crypto in a way.
Mm. True, true, true. I mean, talking about money, right? I mean, Tom being one of the bigger player in the Web2 industry. So, how did funding change the game of Natix? And probably any tips on raising funds for the new founders out there?
Very interesting question. I got my first check when I created Natix back in 2020, before even the pivot to crypto, which was 2022. I got my first check from the general partner of Plug and Play Ventures. You might have heard of
Okay.
them. They're
Yeah.
they're very big
Yes.
in early stage investment. First check.
Yes. Yes.
He invests in teams rather than projects and ideas, and very good advisor even up to now. He has, I think, over
Yes.
10, 15 unicorns in his portfolio.
Wow. Okay.
Relatively young guy, by the way, and he told me that one of you three as the founders should be constantly raising money. That's just a full-time job of one of you guys, pretty much, right?
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
I listened to it at that point, and then I didn't get it, to be honest with you. It took me some
Okay.
years to understand why he advised us the same way.
Mhm.
When you raise money as a startup, it enables you to make more mistakes, but yet
Mhm.
survive, right? So to survive more mistakes. And if you have built a startup, you know that iteration, pivoting, kind of like, making mistakes and learning from it and doing something new
Yes.
based on your learning is all what building a startup and scaling is about, right? So you just have to
Yes.
do this enough number of times that you hit
Mhm.
jackpot once. And if you're consistent and if you're persistent,
Yes.
you will achieve that, right? One of the things that could stop you from achieving is, like a game, basically, when your life kind of finishes and that's it, you lose the game, right? So raising money and funding will give
Mhm.
you additional space to make mistakes,
Mhm.
especially if you're experimenting with something that has been done before, so something more innovative. It's
Mhm.
usually it's more difficult to get it right. If you're building
Mhm.
another CRM system, You can look at the market is an extremely well-established market, right? So you can look around and kind of get inspired. You might have been working in the CRM industry, so it's very it's easier to get that perfect product if you're good with building products, right? But in your case, for example, analytics in the world of blockchain was not a thing when you guys
Crazy.
started. It was
Yes.
not even there. So who do you want to get inspired from? What product? Who has done it at a scale that you can say, okay, I can take this, but I can even make it better, right? So you have to build everything from scratch. And this process of innovation, to be honest with you, you make a lot of mistakes. You don't get it right.
Yes.
Going back to the point you said, so what changed when we did the fundraising?
Yes.
So we have always been, trying to fundraise, slowly show progress, fundraise more. Um, but I think the hitting point was last year when we could do a bigger round, and it was definitely a challenge for me because I was trying to raise for a few months, and usually I would say it's the hardest to get the lead investor to
Yes.
commit.
Yes.
One of the things, and this is an advice to other founders that they're also in my shoes. I would also like to know your experience, Vijay, after this. But I
Yes.
went to the TechStars program,
Uh-huh.
and David Cohen, who is the founder of TechStars, they're the second largest accelerator after Y Combinator. Um,
Yes.
and David Cohen, who's the founder of TechStars, he has this approach. He has a book as well about how to fundraise efficiently. And he told me I raised for startups of all different, let's say, stages from pre-seed to Series B, Series C, or $1 billion fund. He raised the same approach, right? He said, I never looked for a lead investor. What I look for is commitments, and I go from there because nobody wants to kind of commit to be the lead investor.
Yes.
He usually takes
Yes.
commitments, even if it's soft commitments, right? Soft commitments means
Mhm.
they say, yes, in theory, we will put in money, but
Yes.
there is a condition, or many of them,
Yes.
right? If
Yep.
VJ leaves Germany and comes and lives in London, if some crazy even, right? So
Yes.
the,
Yes.
usually the conditions that they give, and you have seen it. If you show me a 10x traction on your user growth or revenue
Yes.
or whatnot, the key is to take those commitments, and you usually snowball around. You oversubscribe
Yes.
over than the amount that you want, and typically the one of these guys that is usually the largest or the most well-known player would step in as your
Mhm.
lead, meaning discussing the
Yes.
final terms with you, right? So
Yes.
not going, because it's a chicken and egg problem. Many of the founders tell me, yeah, we want
Yes.
to raise, we couldn't find the lead, and therefore we didn't raise. Actually, funnily, I never had a lead until I oversubscribed my round 5x, and somebody said we want to be a lead, right? It's funny, as funny as it sounds, and this cookbook
Yes.
worked extremely well for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I could resonate with a lot of points that you just told, right? One is keep looking for funds whenever possible, right? Raise continuously. It in itself is a full-time job. I would totally agree with that because having built BitFringe for the last 4 years, having raised $12 million from stalwarts like Coinbase, Ventures, and others, fundraising in itself is a full-time job, and nobody else can ever do that other than a founder. I would completely agree on that. And being consistent, being persistent, right? Those are really key. And you also walked me through how it started in 2020 and then the pivot to 2022. So what was, let's say, the aha moment for you in crypto world? Let's say building Natix, there can be so many reasons why you started, but what was that one particular moment when you said, okay, crypto sounds really cool. Why shouldn't I build Natix there? What was that particular moment?
Yeah, it was not per se crypto. It was crypto as a tool. So we didn't say, oh, okay, we wanna just go to crypto and do something. It didn't
Okay.
for us. It didn't work out like that. But we
Mhm.
started the company in 2020 as a computer vision AI company. Funnily, we were very familiar with crypto incentivized physical or digital infrastructure even beforehand, right? We wanted to build a decentralized compute platform back in 2018, 19. I had a chat. I met Gregor, I think it was in Korea, the founder of
Mhm.
Akash. And I told him that, look, I studied your white paper like A to Z, everything back in like 2018, right? And
Yeah.
decentralized compute was not hot. Nobody was. They like when I was pitching this idea to other people. And by the way, we started pitching plug and play. Also got that pitch from us first. Uh, Many people were laughing at us. They were like, "This is sci-fi. What are you talking about? You guys are talking about like distributed compute and decentralized compute, and it just doesn't make any, yes, it is cool, but you need like $100 million to build this, right?" So this was the idea, and at the point, I agree. Sometimes it's a perfect idea, but you're too early to the market, right? Unfortunately, we were first-time founders, so we tried to kind of niche it down. And we wanted to build a decentralized edge compute platform. Edge compute means, let's say, when an IoT device that generates data has some compute power. Right now, most of the devices do. Your car does, your camera does, your smartphone does. This is called edge compute. So you don't put the load of processing on the cloud in another data center thousands of kilometers away. So our idea was to build a decentralized compute platform. Anyway, it was hard to fundraise. The market went down when we quit our jobs, and we just wanted to, start building. To be honest with you, we were always in the IoT and blockchain, so that was something that was, we always wanted to build a product around that. So we kind of niched that down into a non-crypto related product, which was, okay, we were really fan of edge compute, so on-device compute. We were looking for applications, and we found out that the camera, the visual data, and like smart city applications like parking monitoring, crowd monitoring, this is a very good fit at the time. And smart city was a hot topic too. So we started the company as that, and we started building a couple of products for municipalities, for businesses, parking monitoring, crowd monitoring, sold, generated slightly higher than $300,000-400,000 of ARR in the first year. And then we realized that, look, we don't like to sell B2G. It's an extremely difficult market. We didn't quit our well-paid jobs to do something also that is not crazy. Let's put it that way. And the crazy idea was, we realized that camera. So we did want to expand from just selling software to cities and so on to something bigger. And we said, look, we have 45 billion cameras, just 1 billion CCTV cameras on public and commercial property, 45 billion cameras in forms of cars, drones, smartphones, right? So what would the world look like if we can get all of these cameras and can have access to all of these, right? I call it Internet of Cameras. After all, it's the most powerful sensor that we knew from the entire IoT space. What I mean by that, I call it king of sensors. Camera is an extremely potent sensor because it's very cheap. You can buy it relatively cheap, and it gives you a lot of granularity on the data that you're collecting. Think about it as a human being as well. Like 50-60% of what your brain processes is the visual data, right? And if you lose that, it's very difficult for you to interact and live in this world, right? So visual data is very, very important. And when it comes to visual data, camera is the go-to sensor because LiDAR is too expensive. Radar can give you some context, but it's also not as granular as camera. We knew AI is growing at a fast pace, and at the end of the day, is not going to be what you can do with a camera or visual information today. Is going to be who owns the camera infrastructure and can provide the most amount of data tomorrow. That's going to be the oil well, right? Because AI will grow faster. There is so much R&D was happening back in the time. Doing a simple object detection, like I detect from an image that this is a human, right? Not even like BJ, but this is just a human. You had to have these huge, basically, data sets of humans and train the AI and do the labeling essentially. It was a very cumbersome process, right? Today, there are these large language models that they can detect things that they have never even seen before, right? It's insane. But so very quickly, we said we want to own the largest camera infrastructure in the world. That was the aha moment, BJ. And then we were looking, us being deep in native, we said, okay, we have seen this happening. Helium did it for connectivity infrastructure. We do
Yes.
the exact same thing. Deepen was not a term back in the time, so we said we want to build the
Yes.
helium for smart cameras. That was my tagline when I started
Nice.
pitching it, and that's how our journey with Natix has started.
Really nice. I mean, from there, I mean, you were mentioning about your conversation with the founder of Akash back in 2018 or 19. Not sure which conference was that, but I'm glad that you picked up that little conversation. And from there to now having 250,000 registered drivers, insane, insane growth. Brother, wish you all the very best for the upcoming accomplishments. So, moving on to the next one. I mean, you obviously, as a founder, you would also agree with this point. Habits are very important for each and every founder, right? Discipline, persistence, consistency. These were the terms that we were using in this pod. So I would like to know what a typical day look like for you and any habits that keeps you sharp.
Mhm. Um, the word habits, I have read this book, Atomic Habits. I am reading it again right now, coincidentally.
Okay, that's great.
Um, and I think it's a very good book for anyone. And sometimes I like rereading stuff and kind of, refreshing my memory. Good books, I do
Nice.
have a tendency to do that. But yeah, I fully agree with you. I think habits will make a difference in your life. It's a big, big differentiator from, you know, uh, achieving something, from being successful, right? And from, to when you achieve something, that also means happiness at the end of the day. So it's all interconnected. Good habits can take you a long way, as well as bad habits, right? So it's extremely important. It took me some time to actually build habits into my life, but yeah, I sleep early, relatively early. I wake up relatively early, around 7 a.m., 6:30. I'm up. Well, I know some founders wake up at like 5 a.m. and that's early, but in the tech world, many people also wake up relatively late. That's also normal. But I try to wake
Yes.
up relatively early. I take the start of the day slow.
Okay.
Read some books. Start to kind of get into the day. I
Okay.
usually do something that is for me. So reading books, meditation, and sports. So I start kind of a little bit slow at home, and then I hit the
Mm-hmm.
gym the days that I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
sports as well.
Nice.
By 9:30, I have my
Mm-hmm.
daily with my entire team, right?
Okay.
So
Perfect.
9:30, everyone is there. That's when I have to be behind my desk, and basically the work is
Okay.
starting. I usually have a
Nice.
no meeting rule from, so it's 9:30 to 10 is my daily. That's my only meeting in the morning.
Okay.
No meeting
Okay.
rule. That's another habit too. 10 to 2 p.m.
Okay.
I usually don't care, even if something is
Okay.
burning down. I
Oh.
have a no meeting rule, 10 to
Oh.
2. So either you catch me before or after,
Okay.
because that's where I have the most energy. It's super important. I would
Nice.
like to do a problem solving, essentially, rather
Okay.
than meetings which is inefficient. I used to have this scattered meeting agenda which was consuming me. I was feeling tired and not achieving anything, pretty much the entire day. So it took me some time to look into this and fix it. After two, let's say, I start taking meetings, calls, and whatnot, and yeah, I finish whenever I finish. So sometimes I have US calls until late night. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier, and then I try to also wind down after that. So usually spend time with my fiance, winding down, cooking. It just cools you down.
Okay.
Sometimes going to yoga, the late evening
Oh.
yogas. So yeah, usually that's the between 9:30 to, let's say, 7, 8, sometimes 9 p.m. That is work, and then I put it down, and then I try to, if I have some time, I'll try to do something. Let's say that helps me to cool down. Otherwise, sleep, because I want to wake up the next day early.
Cool. I mean, I'll give it a shot with this 10 to 2 rule at Pitchcrunch. We'll try how it works. It's quite interesting where you block a certain amount of time, let's say in this case 4 hours, and you be the most productive. And you're right, right. The early mornings, especially the mornings, are the ones which is the phase where everybody is quite active, right? With the levels of energy, be it voice, be it whatever, right? So that's really nice. I mean, we here at BitScrinch, we have a rule of not having any meeting beyond 30 minutes. 30 minutes or keep it short. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that's it. No, there is only one meeting where it's the town hall meeting, which happens once in 2 weeks. That is the only meeting that runs for 45 minutes, right? Cool. And coincidentally, we also have our dailies at 9:30 in the morning. So
Oh.
pretty much has similar habits, except one or two that I don't do. But yeah, cool. Good to know. So one interesting question that I wanted to also ask you about is, in this digital world where recently the Ghibli was a trend using ChatGPT, people were creating these Ghibli sort of trends, right? But on the other hand, people also worry about their privacy, right? They were worried about giving their images to AI. So people always have the fear of giving out their privacy, and they were always cautious about cameras, right? Especially in a country like Germany. I mean, being a founder from German environment, you know about the GDPR issues.
Yeah.
So people don't, or they are not really friendly with privacy and cameras. So how does Natix break that jinx and build trust?
Yeah. So in three words said, privacy by design, we try to have this implemented into the entire pipeline of data collection and data processing. So first of all, we try not to collect visual data as much as possible. That's why I talked about edge computing. So we
Mm,
optimize the AI, ship it to the device, let it run on the device, which in this case is your smartphone, and we let the AI just to see the world in real time
mm,
and just
mm,
ping us with the information that the AI is seeing. For example, hey, I saw a traffic sign, I saw a traffic light, right? Well,
mm,
you do need to be careful that somebody doesn't ship a kind of a facial recognition or number plate recognition into this network. That's why we have certain approaches that it's not fully decentralized, but in the world that this
mm,
camera infrastructure becomes fully decentralized, which I think is the way to go forward. We have a way that people can basically approve a certain AI model before it gets deployed to the network, right? So not like people cannot do shady things at the end of the day,
mm,
assuming that
mm,
most of the players in the network are not bad players. The other thing is anonymization. So when we do have to collect
mm,
data, for example, with this
mm,
Tesla hardware, we do
mhm,
collect 360 video data, and we need the video data because we use it for training
mm,
uh, foundational models from autonomous driving.
mhm,
We use it for testing and validation purposes. So we do need the video data. We are very strong on privacy. So the way that we try to do it is that as soon as the data is contributed to our network, we anonymize it. And
okay,
we actually have very good partners for it. There is a company which we're
mhm,
going to announce soon. They have one of the best
mhm,
anonymization technologies, which we partnered up with. And these guys just don't do face blurring. To
okay,
not because when you do blurring, you can have issues later on when you're feeding this data into training the AI model, right? Blurring
mhm,
doesn't work as good as having faces because the
mhm,
real car that is going to be in the world and has to do like a Tesla car, an FSD,
mhm,
when it sees a
mhm,
real face or a number plate, it might get confused, right? It doesn't know what it is, right? So the
mm,
best case is that you show the AI what it actually would see in the real world. So we do something called deep anonymization, where we change the faces, or we can actually do that for some customers, where we change the faces and the number plates into another number plate and another face, right? So imagine we put
mm,
Elon Musk's face, or well, that's just one face, but we just change the faces. So if I, for example, feed in a video of you, VJ, is gonna look
mhm,
like you, but a bit distorted, right? So it doesn't really look like VJ,
mhm.
but it's still a human being, in
Yes.
those videos. Or it's a number plate of Germany, but it's just a
Mhm.
random number plate generated by
Number.
the right.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
we take privacy very serious, and we have
Nice.
multiple measures to not let the
Nice.
privacy of the citizens to be violated.
Yep. I mean, nice, nice. I mean, that is something that will help you scale across the borders, right? Because privacy has been one of the widely talked topics globally, and privacy by design. I like that caption. So good job there. So congrats to the entire team. And then now that we are almost there, would love to take one more question before we chip into that next funny segment, I would call it. So what one advice would you give to young people or maybe young founders who are stepping into either tech world or the Web3 space? What would that be?
Um, Fail fast, learn faster. Don't be scared of pivoting. Don't be scared of changing. Don't be scared of changing direction. Essentially, sometimes it's very difficult. It's scary to do that because one very simple thing. When also we wanted to pivot, we had resources made for the current business model, right? So we hired a bunch of people for that model, and right now it was a fear that, oh my God, I need to basically either retrain or make sure that these guys are aligned with the new direction that we're going, and retrain them and fill the gaps, or basically fire them and hire new resources. In both ways, it's a very scary thought for a founder. And raise money. Don't be scared of raising money. I think I also gave my advice on how to do that, but I think it's important because it gives you a chance to make a few more mistakes and still survive. And I think this might be all you need to make it a unicorn sometimes, right? That's that
Yes.
one more time of trying and seeing what happens. It might be the only thing that you need to make it a unicorn.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I wish both BitScrunch and Natix be a unicorn soon and probably stay there, set that as a benchmark or a floor, right? And I wish we could support a lot of other founders who are stepping into this Web3 space. Cool. So then let's go into the last segment, which we call it Put You on the Spot segment. And so here I have a couple of questions before I let you go. So one is, if Natix were a superhero or a character, what would that be, and what would that superpowers be?
If Natix was a superhero,
Yes, Natix.
good question.
Or maybe yourself, if you are the founder here, if you want to be a superhero.
I think seeing a little more betting in the future in the tech world has been
Right.
something that I have done quite okay, I would say. Seeing the
Oh,
trends coming before they are coming.
okay.
And I think it could be
Oh,
very important because you would be not the hype. What I mean is real adoption trends, right? That has been
oh, you want
something that
what?
I've done relatively well. I have been pushing for edge computing
Nice.
since
Okay.
2013, 14. I saw this kind of era of physical AI coming, robots and autonomous cars
Nice.
back in the time. And I tried to work around it because it was just a very interesting problem for me. And you want to
Yeah.
work on a problem that gets widely adopted, right? I think one of the trends that honestly I didn't see coming was large language models. So I genuinely didn't see that coming. But a lot of other trends I did see coming, which I was maybe a bit closer as well in terms of IoT, in terms of the automotive
Okay.
industry. As company, as Natix, I think I'm gonna say it as an organization, so not in terms
Okay.
of what we do as the topic of the project, but what we do.
Yes.
I think you can throw us at anything, and we will just learn our way and we will
Wow.
master it as an organization. And I'm genuinely proud of my team and the
Nice.
people that we have behind because it's a superpower in my opinion that sometimes people, let's say sometimes people might be very good at building basic software. As soon as you want to involve something that is new, back in the time, we were doing a lot of crazy things that we have never done, both from engineering side as well as from marketing side, from business development side. It was just new to us and to a lot of our team members. And some people have the process of, okay, I'm gonna just go hire the person that is the super senior in doing that certain things, and that's going to solve my problem. That will solve some problems, but I think as a startup, first of all, you're having limited resources. You cannot just go hire a C-level from Uber, let's say, or from the
Yes.
largest map maker or whatnot. um, what I tried to do in our company as a culture was, we're gonna go and learn it. It might take a little bit longer, just a little bit, and we have to be very fast at learning and iterating. But we have to learn, and a catalyst there, in case we don't have the resources, is a good advisor. So I usually try to find an advisor. Let's say we wanted to enter autonomous driving, and we don't have an idea how autonomous driving really works, how selling to autonomous driving companies work, right? So I try to look into my network, find somebody that can just help us with even 1 or 2 hours of worth of calls in the first few months, and then even less, right? But that input is good enough for us to just be going to the right direction, learn it ourselves, and then scale. So this is our superpower, I would say, as a company, as an organization.
I mean, huge respect. I mean, learning things ground up and implementing it is humongous, right? It is not an easy task, and especially when you are competing against the best of the best in the world, right? And you have to do that, and doing a pivot, learning all the way ground up, and getting into the blockchain world. Kudos to the team. I wish I get to meet them sometime soon. Cool. So the next one is, you talked about edge computing, LLMs, large language models, and everything, and then with what AI is doing. Would you trust AI to reply to your families? Call it maybe fiance or parents. Would you do that?
I do trust AI to reply. Let me take it this way. I trust my family that I can put an AI and I
Okay.
can tell them that it was an AI, and they wouldn't be, fooled or taking personal and whatnot, right? So I trust people around me with that. Whether I want that or not, that's a different story. I would say with some people, yes, with some people, no. I have to draw. I think that the catch here, in case there's a product, is where do you draw the boundary? I think that's the toughest part,
Yes.
right? How can I
Yes.
say, let's say, even maybe with one person, if VJ asks me anything related to Natix, go out a chatbot based on the because you might be interested in what we do as a business, and we have a directory, we push the information anyway. So okay, answer to VJ anything like very quickly. But if VJ asks me a personal question, hey Ali, like do you want to maybe play tennis this weekend, right? I would say maybe involve me, because I want to know if I want to do it or not. Just don't look at my calendar. There might be a lot of other kind of criterias. I think that's where it gets difficult, where you can respond on my behalf and where you cannot, and whom you cannot.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you need to draw a line between where to have the control, right? And not all the family members are same, right? You need different personalities for different people out there. That's a really nice answer. So with that, we go into the last question. So if you can pitch Natix to any leader in the industry, be it Web3, Web2, doesn't really matter. Who are you picking? And we wish we will try our level best to reach that person and show you this question. Show them this question. Yeah.
Hmm. Um,
So a lot of people to pick from, huh?
there are a lot of people. I think from
Yes.
the Web2 world, I would pitch it to Elon, and I
Yeah.
would love to know his feedbacks, because he is a crazy guy in terms of the kind of stuff that he has done. And I think I would like to say one more thing as well, why I would like to pitch to him, because if you look at the products that this guy has built, they have been products that are going towards making humanity better, the quality of
Yep.
life better, in terms of solar energy, in terms of electric cars, in terms of the Neuralink, in terms of SpaceX, right? It's just not
Yes.
because I see so many products that are void. Yes, people pay for them. Yes, there is a lot of demand for it. They can raise a lot of money, or they make a lot of revenue, but it became this process of just, okay, yes, good, congratulations, you can scale a company and you can sell it for a lot, and then you can generate a lot of revenue, but did you actually make humanity better at the end of the day? So I genuinely care about what he has to say. From the Web3 world, I would say Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. Also similar mentality. I think he
Yes.
always looks at. I think he's one of the few people that I have seen from the strategies that they have taken. They're very successful, but they try to also take a look at things a little bit more holistically. I think they were very brave and fighting all of these battles on behalf of crypto. They didn't have
Yeah.
to, but they did. Educating
Yeah.
people, spending a lot of time, resource, effort, reputation. It's a headache when you take that job. Nobody else did that, while others were just trying to, make a bag and walk away and do crazy stuff, right? With,
Yes.
with the easy
Yes.
money that they made. These guys were there for a bigger mission. There are other people like that too, but I think, Brian probably would be uh, somebody that I would like to get an advice from. Pitch it and get an advice from.
Again, great picks. Elon, another crazy entrepreneur that the world knows, right? And Brian, I'm a big fan of the coin, the trailer that is available on YouTube, right? Insane story of being rejected multiple times, fighting all the odds against SEC and the government, and then doing a NASDAQ listing. Insane, impressive. Kudos.
Indeed.
So thank you, Ali, for your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you in Beyond the Blocks pod, and would love to have you again sometime soon. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, VJ. Thank you for having me. And yeah, looking forward to come again to your podcast and talk with the audience.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you, VJ. Bye bye.
Bye bye.